Well, as we continue to celebrate 70 years of WNDU, we've touched on most everything. We've looked at the big news stories, the reporters who've told those stories, and the weather people who've served you over the years.
Tonight, it's time to focus on sports. Our Jackson Neal joins us here in the studio with a look at 70 years of sports coverage.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys. When you think of sports here in Michiana, what comes to mind first? For most, it's probably Notre Dame football. For others, it's the multiple national championships that the Irish women's basketball team has won, or even still, it could be the great tradition of high school basketball right here. There's so many sports we cover here at WNDU, and it's time to take a look back at some of the biggest stories in recent memory. It's been 70 years since WNDU first went on the air. That's before even Ara Parsegian roamed the sidelines at Notre Dame. Of course, over the years, sports here in South Bend has changed a lot. Back in 2005, we looked at the first 50 years of our station's sports coverage. And now with 2 more decades of games, it's time to recap the latest 20 years of storylines here in Michiana. When it comes to sports in South Bend, there's one obvious starting point. That's Notre Dame football. The program has always been one of the most prestigious in the sport, and that's continued recently. While there was a down period in the late 2000s, Brian Kelly became coach and then went to the national title in 2012, as well as multiple playoff appearances. Then in 2022, as defensive coordinator Marcus Freeman took over. And in his most recent season in 2024, he set the record for the most wins in a season by the Irish as he got Notre Dame back to the national title game. Now, all eyes are on Freeman to see if he can deliver the first championship win since 1988. Another premier Irish team sport is the women's basketball program. They started the 21st century with a national title in 2001 and added another in 2018 with Enrique Agumbawale's 3 at the buzzer. But the biggest story might have been one single player, a 5'9" guard who led South Bend, Washington to a state title before becoming an Irish legend, Skylar Diggins. Throughout her high school to college and now eventually her pro career, WNDU has followed her for every step of the way. Speaking of local stars, the Notre Dame men's team has one of their own. Marcus Burton was Mr. Indiana basketball back in 2023 for Penn High School, who made it to the state Final Four. In his freshman season with the Irish, he was named ACC Rookie of the Year, and now with 2 years of eligibility remaining, we'll see if he can bring Notre Dame back to the NCAA tournament. The most successful team in recent history for Notre Dame, though, has been men's lacrosse. They won back-to-back national championships in 2023 and 2024, and we were there to talk with All-American players like the Kavanaugh brothers as they returned with the hardware to South Bend. But it's not just Notre Dame here. There's been minor league baseball in South Bend since 1988, and it's changed affiliations from the White Sox to the Diamondbacks to now the Cubs. Playing in High A with big stadium renovations underway, owner Andrew Berlin is making this town's ball club one of the best in the minors. We also have some of the best high school sports in both Indiana and Michigan right here in our area. We've had countless teams go to state title games in various sports, but one stands out. Here in 2025, the St. Joe boys basketball team won their program's first state championship. It's the first one for a South Bend boys basketball program since Clay back in 1994, and us here at WNDU, we're covering the Huskies every step of the way. Throughout the years, this station has had so many sports anchors and reporters tell the meaningful stories of this area. But there's a couple that stand above the rest. Jack Nolan, Chuck Freeby, and Jeff Jeffers have defined what Michiana sports coverage is. From on-the-field countdown to kickoff shows for Notre Dame football to some of the most in-depth high school reporting out there, these 3 have left their mark on WNDU and Michiana as a whole. Even as we look back, it's hard to fit in every sports story this area has seen because there's almost too many meaningful ones to count. But that's what makes Michiana so special. There's never a dull moment of coverage here at WNDU, and we hope to stay right there on the sidelines, capturing it all for the next 70 years. I mean, looking back at all those stories, it's just so incredible to think of all the great sports moments that have happened right here, from national titles to state championships and just kind of everything in between.
I love some of the high school stories where you've got comparatively smaller schools up here in northern Indiana winning the whole state championship.
And it's crazy to think the amount of talent, the Skylar Diggins, Marcus Burton, these basketball players especially that have come from this area, started at Notre Dame, and now, I mean, we've seen it with Diggins going on to the WNBA, maybe Burton to the NBA. There's some really good talent right here.
Absolutely.
It's amazing stuff.
Action Jackson Neal for us tonight.
Thank you.
Thanks.